Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I've been having so much fun going down a loophole filled with ELO. Today's selection was recommended by Digibirder, who said, I think Rockaria should be on the shortlist for reactions. Elizabeth would have so much fun with it. I want to hear the reaction to the opera singer in it. Actually, I'd love to hear Elizabeth sing the part. Thank you, Digibirder. The idea of opera together with ELO sounds perfect to me. So let's get to it. Okay, yeah, of course opera and rock should go together. It's very evident, I feel. Both are fantastic, wonderful genres of music that I think should have a lot of naturalness in going together. But I'm going to go back to the beginning. One of the things that I love about operatic voices is there's just a certain sweetness to the sound while at the same time having a plea, like an urgency in the sound. I think opera is gorgeous. Right? There's like a weep that happens in this sound. And most really good opera, you should hear a certain weepiness to the voice. And there's even like a little portamento, meaning a tiny slide that happens in there that gives even more suggestion of weeping. Right there. I like the vibrato too. I'm a sucker though. I have to say, I could do with like another 30 seconds of opera. That'd be totally cool by me. Like if they wanted to extend this quite a bit. And when the rock comes in, just keep the opera going with it. Okay, back one more time because I want more opera. There we go. Okay, I was seeing all of these string instruments being bowed on stage in various windows here, and I wasn't hearing a lot of that mixed in. I think that other instruments are just kind of taking that over at the moment, but then when it got a little quieter in the break between, I heard a little more string in there. I would love to hear more. Let's go back one more time. See lots, there's cellos in there, it looks like a violin. There the strings are. That's nice. I like the way that they're essentially coming in as sort of an answer to the vocal line there. That really works, especially because of the way the pitches sit next to each other. Also, I love this line. Sweet little lady sings like a songbird. Oh, yeah, she does sound like a songbird, and she sings the opera like you ain't never heard. But she ain't ready. She ain't gonna rock and roll. I don't know. I beg to differ. I feel like she could possibly rock and roll. But anyhow, I'm gonna come back one more time. That's some cool lyric writing. Plus, there's a really awesome vocal moment in here where he just jumps up like it's nothing. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna go super high all of a sudden and act like this was no impressive feat whatsoever. He just blows it off. It's really impressive. Sees the opera. Right there. Like the way he just like hops up and then comes straight back down. It's so quickly done.
She's sweet on Monday. I think she died for Beethoven. She loves the way Puccini lays down a tune. The bird is always creeping from her room.
Nicely interwoven there. Quite nice. Very, very simple line for her to sing, but very, very beautiful. I also like the way we had those strings come in and take a more prominent role as well. It is really interesting. I feel like the mixing on this, I wish there was a little more clarity, but you know, they're doing really, really, really good, I think, still for the time period. But if I had a little more clarity, I feel like I'd be able to distinguish between certain instruments a little bit more. I wish I had some of that fine sound, like the sound of the strings slightly squeaking as you move along to tune something. Back one more time.
She's sweet on Monday. I think she died for Beethoven. She loves the way Puccini lays down a tune. The bird is always creeping from her room.
Okay, this is actually a great example of a mouth shape. A lot of times in opera, we'll talk about having an inner smile. And I see this trickle over into other genres too. But that inner smile has a lot of soft palate lift going on in it, has a little more spaciousness essentially that's going to happen in the back of the vocal tract. And that can create a little more dome on the sound. That dome is one of the reasons we think of opera as having often like a more deep and luscious sound overall. It has more area for the sound to marinate in. Also, the vocal tract is just made bigger, which helps to enhance some of those deeper tones as well. So that smile is very present. Additionally, that smile back there, it can really help with placement, especially of the top notes. So you'll often see singers getting ready for a higher note, or maybe they're singing kind of like in the mid-range, but they want to have a feeling of a high note ready to go there at any time. And you'll see them nursing this idea of an inner smile. You'll see it on the cheeks maybe a little bit like you see it here, but really you can see it more in the cheekbones and the idea of inside there's a little extra lift.
The bird is always creeping from her room.
I love that little portamento. Also, she sounds like she's really leaning into a Puccini sound. It's amazing how different periods of opera call for singing, different kinds of styles. I think people think of opera and they're like, there's just one opera. And that is not the case. Like, there are operas separated by hundreds of years. Just think about how different the style of singing is between the 70s and the 90s, right? What if the opera was separated by 200 years instead of just 20? Think about the difference you would find in a vocal style. It's pretty dang massive. So she sounds like she's leaning into a Puccini kind of style. That portamento, the little slide, that's something that's pretty indicative of Puccini. Also, Puccini tends to have even more of that weepiness that I was talking about early in the voice. And then additionally, the way she's singing a lot of repeated notes, so just the way that the notes are written here, reminds me more of a Puccini rather than a Mozart, right? At very, very different time periods of opera. Back one more time. Oh, by the way, her name, Mary Thomas. She's a Welsh soprano, and I don't know her from other work, but she certainly sounds beautiful here. Little scoop in. Very Puccini.
Come on, I'll show you how to sing the blues now, baby. Come on over, you got nothing to lose. Now you ready? Hey, 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 are you ready? Ooh, are you ready? I wanna show you how to rock and roll.
I feel like this song is talking about me. Right? We think about this moment of like, oh, somebody crossed from opera over to rock and roll. I still love opera. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I love rock and roll a lot more than I ever anticipated I would. Come on, I'll show you how to sing the blues. And you are ready. I want to show you how to rock and roll. Oh, I guess he might be talking about learning music styles, but there might be other things going on too. Who knows?
Come on, I'll show you how to sing the blues now, baby. Come on over, you got nothing to lose. Now you ready?
I feel so seen right
Hey,
now.
hey, hey, are you ready? Ooh, are you ready? I wanna show you how to rock and roll. Now listen here, baby, she said to me to meet me at the opera house and quiet as free, 'cause I'm ready. Yeah, 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 I'm ready. Woo, 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 I'm ready. I'm gonna show you how to sing the blues.
Oh man, I like the strings there. Just this way he's able to jump up so easily once again. It's crazy to me. Like you could transpose that down an octave and it would sound like it was more within that whole phrase, but the way he jumps all the way up there and still keeps it in the phrase, it's just somehow so nonchalant. His approach, it's crazy. I think we can learn a lot from these two styles side by side about vocal placement in various genres. A lot of times in opera, there's an idea of sort of, uh, again, that marination of sound that can happen, right? Often there'll be a certain restraint, and I'm doing this kind of thing because often, like, I'll think about the sound going like this or even up and over and like this, but it's never a sound that goes straight up. It never goes direct out. Versus a lot of times in contemporary genres, there are different ways to think about the trajectory of sound, but a lot more singers will have a very direct approach. You don't want to push here as you're going straight out. Sometimes that can lead to essentially too much tension or compression. But I definitely think in his sound, it's much more direct, has a lot more of this forward feeling in the face. Sometimes we'll even talk about forward singing versus back singing in different kinds of genres, and opera would be definitely more back. I want to go back one more time. And just compare, where does she sing? Ooh, I'm not as familiar with that. Is it back here? Yeah. So there's back, it still rings in the front, but there's just a lot more back feeling there, a lot more of this. And then when he starts singing, this happens. Right? Like here instead of here.
Sweet on Wagner. I think she died for Beethoven. She left the way Puccini laid down a tune, and birds always creeping from her room.
That made me, ooh, more opera. That made me happy. You just like listed off some composers there. Of course, I think we had Puccini in there? Yeah, we had some Puccini in there. Of course we did. She's definitely harkening back to Puccini. But there's Wagner and Beethoven. By the way, these guys are separated by quite a bit of distance and years. So again, very different styles in all three of these composers that have been mentioned here. Oh, there's Verdi in there too. Verdi. I'm often thinking, do I like Verdi or Puccini more? I think I like singing Puccini slightly more right now, but if you asked me 2 years ago, I'd be liking the Verdi just a little bit more. It's very difficult to choose between the two. Love them both.
She's sweet on Wagner.
Sweet Wagner.
I think she died for Beethoven. She loves the way Puccini lays down a tune.
I gotta say, Beethoven's not my favorite. I almost feel bad saying that, right? But holy crap, the Ninth Symphony, it's just, I mean, he wrote it, first of all, when he was partially deaf, and the way it sits in the singer's voices, especially the soprano voice, it's going over this passaggio area and the really upper parts, and the way it's written is pure evil. So, I don't know if she died for Beethoven. Some other singers share this opinion too. That's a really, really hard one to sing. So anyhow, I feel very good about 3 of these 4 composers.
I'm gonna show you how to sing the blues. She's sweet on Wagner.
Yeah.
I think she died for Beethoven. She loves the way Puccini lays down a tune.
Yes.
And bird is always screaming from a room.
Yeah. This is like symphonic rock already. I'm so happy it went together. Let's do it again. No, I'm not ready for this to be done yet. Insta stop, go back. I have to say, this is how you should sing one note over and over. Just one pitch. He's been harping on the same pitch over and over, but giving us tons of story and tons of lyrics and style in there too. It's definitely worth, if you ever wonder how specific you need to be when you're singing just one pitch over on a bunch of words, you could take this, you could pull it out and look at the pitch and see how, yeah, we can tell that each one of these notes are the same pitch, but there are ways that he kind of moves around it that really gives it extra expression.
Oh Everybody watches one. People on the streets keep running into joining sound. That the opera singers singing rock and roll so pure. I thought I saw the man there, but I wasn't really sure. But it's
alright. Yes, please. I love this kind of crossing of the genres, and I always have. I just didn't know that rock and opera would be the things that also go together, or metal and opera. That's a good combo. One of the first combos that ever got me was when opera was in the fifth element. And actually, that is the very first video that I ever made an analysis or reaction analysis of, was taking a look at the fifth element operatic scene and how various people have covered that. If you want to check out that video over here, see baby Elizabeth in the good old days before we even had, it was less than 10,000 subscribers. Anyhow, that's over here. It's kind of amazing to go back to. And I hope that you fall more in love with music every day.